I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll just take a minute. We have to call.
Hi, Mike, this is Julie. Are you, we just do the pledge, I'll put you on speakerphone and we'll get going. Yeah. Sure. Yes, I will do that. Thanks. Just a reminder to speak up so we can hear, everything.
Can you hear my voice, Mike?
Yes, and you have not so much to speak up, but speak toward the phone.
Okay, all right.
Oh.
All right. This part of our agenda is for public comment, and this is for anyone who would like to make a comment to the board that is not of personal nature or something that's already on the agenda. We would ask that you stand, state your name, recognize that as board members, since it's not an agenda item, you cannot respond to that. Please ask that you would keep it in a timely manner if you so desire, and that you also keep it respectful. The floor is yours. Okay. We're going to move on to personnel. Certified staff.
Okay, under certified staff, we have the reduction in force. And so what we have is when school districts are faced with difficult budget years, school boards may need to consider reducing the number of staff that is employed in order to bring the budget back into balance. As a result, the collective bargaining agreement has defined language on layoff and recall rights for its members. In the case of the Florence Carlton School, we do have language in our collective bargaining agreements for both classified and certified units. I am proposing a reduction in force at this time for our teacher union and our classified unit. At this time, we are asking to reduce the full-time high school counselor to 0.6 FTE, effective at the conclusion of the 2010-2011 school year. We are also asking to reduce the high school PE middle school teaching position from its current full-time position to a 0.5 teaching position for the 2011-2012 school year. And that's for the certified unit. Just so that you're aware in the certified unit how we have come to these conclusions is that we were taking a look at class loads, and with the reduction in a full-time kindergarten position and a reduction in a full-time third grade position, we noticed that within the specialty areas, especially within the PE program and art program areas, that these specialist teachers could take on more pupil instruction related time. So we decided to go ahead and adjust their schedules by moving one of the PE teachers that currently teaches elementary PE and shifting them up into teaching 2 high school periods of PE. As a result, this opened up 2 periods of teaching within the middle school program. We also decided on the elementary side in the art program that we could shift the art teacher up to take on 2 additional periods of instruction in the middle school program, and so it's proposed that the current elementary art teacher move up and teach 2 periods of art at the middle school level. This combined creates 4 periods of instruction that are taken over from the middle school program. In taking a look at the seniority at the middle school, we determined that the least senior PE instructor would be Megan Houlihan. She has the least seniority in the PE program. Therefore, it was proposed that her schedule be amended and changed to a 0.5 FTE. Now, in evaluating to determine which person would be ripped off of seniority in the contract, we had to take a look at the work days and determine the number of work days for tenured teachers. we came to the determination that both Karen Brazel and Megan Houlihan had both been hired at the same time and had both started the same school year, therefore both had the same number of work days. As a result of that evaluation, it then kicked into education relevant, related educational work. And so we took a look at that and determined that both Mrs. Brazel and Mrs. Houlihan have credible service, have credible classes that they have taken since they've been employed here, and they both hold second degrees. Mrs. Houlihan holding one in history and physical education / health, and Mrs. Brazel holding one in history / library media. So with that, they were both pretty equal, but the determination on which member would have the more seniority came down to coursework in an AP government class that is taught at the high school level, where Mrs. Brazel had gone off and received additional training so that she could then become an advanced placement government teacher at our high school level. This kind of tipped the scales in her favor, therefore it gave her seniority right, by my estimation, over Mrs. Houlihan. So with that being said, that's how we came to the conclusion that the half-time position of Mrs. Houlihan would be ripped. And as a result, with the current situation at the guidance counselor level, we felt that this could be changes that could be made. In guidance counseling, we will ask the middle school counselor to step up and to assist at the high school level more and provide services in that area. These cuts in education result in a loss of one kindergarten teaching position, the loss of one third grade teaching position, the loss of a 0.5 history / PE teaching position, and the loss of a 0.4 high school guidance counselor. So the board is asked to move on these actions. And also, we have the classified staff, which is something we will talk about, the reduction, of course, when we get to that point.
I'll move to reduce Ms. Stacy Holden's full-time high school counseling teaching position to 0.6 full-time value to end the 2011 school year.
Second.
Discussion.
John, this is Mike. I noticed on the notice of RIF memo
Yes.
that this one, what we're talking about right now, the guidance counselor is, I think it says on here, to a 0.5.
It's a 0.6.
Okay.
It will be for 3 days.
I was wondering also if you could kind of help me understand how this relates to and affects our pending budget shortfall.
Okay.
Can you kind of put that into context a little bit, quantify that?
Okay. When we talk about the relationship in the budget with all of these position changes, when we take a look at the kindergarten teaching position with its elimination, it is effectively going to save the school district right around $30,000. With the move on the third grade position, it will once again save the school district in the range of about $30,000. With the 0.5 FTE at the middle school, that is going to save us in the range of about $18,000. With the 0.6 FTE, it is going to save the school district in the range of about $15,000. So these are the budgetary numbers as they start kind of playing out with each of these positions in terms of how it affects the school's budget.
And are these parts of the overall plan moving forward to balance the budget? And were these recommendations from the budget committee?
Yeah, from the budget committee, we were looking at the possibility of cutting the German program, and one of the alternatives that came out of this was when we identified the excessive prep time that would have existed in the art program and the excessive prep time that would have existed in the PE program, we came to the determination that we better get those teachers that we have hired on full-time for next year, making sure that they have full instructional loads with the students. Having looked at that, we took a look at the budget and we came to the determination that although we were talking about the elimination of the German program, these types of moves have garnered us the types of savings necessary to balance the budget, yet still be able to maintain the German program at the high school level. So one of the things that we did not want to do is have to adversely impact those students at the high school level that had already taken a year of German or 2 years of German, and still allow them to have that experience in that elective class at the high school level.
Okay, I appreciate that, but this is just a kind of a start, right? Because I mean, what I count up here is 93,000, and we still would have 200 more to go, right?
Yes.
Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, let me grab the budget and just kind of go down through that.
Well, did you already make the cut to that 150, 443, or the 150, and then then these are the 143 that we were proposing would be cut if in fact another failed? That's a combination.
Yeah, it's a combination.
Okay.
Where we have gotten to, Mike, do you have that proposed budget in front of you, or do you not?
You mean the one that was sent out in this packet?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Okay, as we've gone down through that, we were identifying areas that we could cut. Now, I want to remind you, one of the things that helped to balance the budget was some budget numbers did come in on Friday from the state, which, as we had stated, we weren't sure what the legislature was going to do. We had initially been taking a look at close to $293,000 in cuts that we were going to need to adhere to. But the legislature came through with roughly $63,000 more in budget authority for this next school year. So we added that back into the budget and then believed that the cuts were around the $220,000 range that we were looking at. So as we started working through these types of cuts with personnel, we started taking a look at it. And I believe that it's, I undersold the idea on what the staffing savings are, because other staff savings that we are looking at on top of what I just explained are that we expect to have about a $20,000 savings from the replacement of our high school English teacher that resigned. We also expect to see right around a $40,000 savings, $35,000 to $40,000 savings for the replacement of one of our fourth grade teachers that is retiring if we hire a brand new teacher to replace that person. And so we're closer up to the $150,000 to $160,000 range on staff changes and cuts at the certified level, with the replacement of more veteran teachers with newer teachers coming in for those who've retired or resigned.
Okay, so when I look at this preliminary budget that we've got, and I look at the last page, and let's say I'm new to reading this, so bear with me, but I see the proposed in column A, proposed 2011-2012, it ends up being roughly 5.1 million, right?
Correct.
And then last year was around 5.25 million.
Correct.
So these positions that we're talking about right now on this, are they included in this number?
In the 5.1,
Yes,
yes, they are.
okay,
And so all of the numbers have been, so all of the changes within these staff numbers coming down and then the building back in of the contractual obligations that we have with these staff numbers for next year have all been built back into the budget so that you have what would be considered a more realistic number.
and how does this 5.1 million, compare to the anticipated revenue?
That is the anticipated revenues we expect to receive from the state for our general fund monies of 5.115.
Okay,
But just so everybody's aware, that's not a final number. We have not received those final numbers from OPI yet.
right, that's just the proposed.
Right.
Okay, thanks, John and Julie, appreciate that.
Any other questions, Mike?
No, not right now.
Board members, any other questions? Right, call for the question. The motion is to reduce Mr. Coleman's full-time counseling position to a point six. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion from school.
I move to reduce Mrs. Megan Wilhelm's high school PE and middle school teaching position from its current full-time position to a .5 teaching position for the 2011-2012 school year.
Discussion. Yes, Mr. Shea.
Is it not true that a few years ago, the superintendent, John McGee, recommended the board to fire her, or non-rehire her without cause, without stepping foot in her classroom to evaluate her?
Well, this really doesn't have anything to do with this motion right here on the floor, Mr. Shea.
That's fine, I'd just like that on record.
Any other discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're going to move on to renewing our tenured teachers.
Okay. In your board packet, you have a list of tenured teachers that work for the school district, and it is with pleasure that I make the recommendation to the board to hire the following individuals. So the full-time teachers start with Nancy Adams and finish with Sherry Warner. So.
Okay, do I have a motion? We'll leave this individually, please.
I make a motion to hire Nancy Adams, Sam Bearlager, Jamie Byerler, Brenda Bolton, Lisa Brager, Karen Branzel, Carrie Briney, Allison Bristow, Rachel Camp, Ed Combo, Carla Kramer, Carla Crawford, Leanne Deshaw, Bob Edgar, Judy Fisher, Lori Foshag, Hallie Gillespie, Marianne Gingrich, Goldie Golding, Christy Hartman, Jim Hennig, Harold Hoff, Weston Jones, Sarah Keefe, Jennifer Kirby, Craig Kuchel, Carol Lakefield, Marissa Mazer, Jackie McCann, Jeannie Miller, Susie Miller, Brian Newman, Jackie Overton, Taryn Pettit, Catherine Reed, Melinda Reed, Lori Saylor, Deanna Schroeder, Krista Selvig, Scott Stigler, Nancy Stock, Thatcher Zalay, Archie Tamietti, Lisa Verlanik, and Sherry Warner.
One second. Discussion. I'm impressed. Now you got everyone with me.
I was impressed too.
All right. Call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now we're going to renew our non-tenured teachers.
Okay. Non-renewal of non-tenured teachers. The renewal of non-tenured teachers. Yeah, get me in trouble there. Go ahead.
I make a motion to hire Marlis Anderson, Vanessa Blytree, Mark Buckner, Amber Dobb, Norman Garrett, Emily Hackathorn, Amy Hirschback, Matthew Larson, Janet Mall Smith, Lily Model, Ronnie Parsons, Jason Stewart, and Lee Weldon.
Discussion.
just so that you're aware, the following individuals with the renewal of their contract are hereby granted tenure rights in the school district, and those individuals are Amy Hirschbach, Janet Wall-Smith, and Lee Weldon.
Okay. Call to the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Our 10 part-time teachers.
Part-time teachers, and therefore we have tenured part-time teachers will be Stacy Holden, Megan Houlihan.
Make a motion to hire Stacy Holden and Megan Houlihan as tenured part-time teachers.
Second.
Discussion. Call for the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
An open teaching position.
There's another part-time teaching position that's non-tenure,
I'm
and
sorry,
that is Rochelle Lindquist.
I can't. We'll go back. Part-time nursing.
I make a motion to hire part-time non-tenured teacher Rochelle Blomquist.
Second.
Discussion. Call for the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now, we're going to move on to open teaching position.
Yeah, with the resignations and retirements that we have had, we have the need to open a position which would be at our 4th grade level. So if we open an elementary teaching position, it will allow us to go ahead and begin advertising to fill that spot.
Make a motion to open one elementary teaching position for the 2011-2012 school year.
Second.
Discussion. Call for the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Now we're going to classify staff.
Classified staff reduction in force. Once again, as we did with our certified teaching positions, we took a look at the classified teaching for this next coming school year, and we talked about the elimination of a library aide position. Now, Eleanor McCullough has rights as the most senior member on the staff, and within their contract they have what is called bumping rights. So as a senior position, anybody in a equivalent position below her would have, she would have the right to bump their position. And so we took a look in her category, which is category 2 in the classified unit, and recognized that there are 2 individuals at the bottom of that unit that we should take a look at ripping. Now, number one of the positions, Mr. Zabowska said that he had worked with Ruth Blackadder on, and the determination was that at the high school special ed program, there's going to be the need to reduce one position, irregardless of whether the levy passed or failed. We would be in the position to say that the need in that area is changing due to the number of students that will be graduating that are currently in the special ed program. So the board was going to have one position come before them in the special ed department, irregardless. The second position that we looked at in this category is the position that is the next least senior, in which Eleanor could bump in her rights to move and transition around. And so at this point in time, we identified the 2 lowest people in those categories as Diane Ross and Donna Sutton. Now, with this, these individuals, although they are RIF, they still have seniority right of their own, which means they could come back and ask that they hold another position in the school district. They can even go outside of their category as long as moving to that new category, whether it be custodian, whether it be secretarial, or lunchroom, it didn't require any specialized training. The classified unit had been explained to them that we are not going to introduce any time, effort, or money into the retraining of any employees who want to move into a new position due to the fact that we already believe that we have trained somebody, we have a good person sitting there in that spot, and the only way that we're going to allow for that person to be bumped or moved if the person wanting to move into their position was capable and qualified to do so. So with that, the board is asked at this time to move to make a couple of changes. Also within the classified unit, we had identified the special ed secretarial position. The special ed secretarial position, it had been talked about and it had been identified that it could be reduced to a 0.5 FTE. And so in this, although the special ed secretary is currently a full-time person, if her schedule were to allow it, she could actually bump a 0.4 FTE person that is working half-time in the building and get her status back up to full-time if she were to choose. From the school district standpoint, we view that as it's a positive to us because it's one less person that we would have to manage and one less person that we would have to find a sub for if we had people calling in sick. Also, what we had looked at is the shuffle and redesign of what would be going on within the classified unit. We looked at the copy room and we had determined that the copy room could lose about 2/10 of an FTE in that area. And so we would be reducing that in staffing for the copy room, but we would reorganize and reshift the resources out of there so that Sarah Perry could maintain her full-time status, covering 2 FTEs of the secretary's position that currently the special ed secretary has, and doing her other 8/10 FTEs in the copy center. And this allows us to move that special ed secretary down to a 0.5 FTE. So with that, the board at this point in time is asked to approve a reduction in force for effective at the end of the 2010-2011 school year, in that to eliminate Diane Ross's special ed education aide position, to eliminate Donna Sutton's special education aide position, and to reduce down and eliminate 0.5 FTEs of the special education secretarial position.
So I make a motion to eliminate Diane Ross's position at the end of the current school year.
Okay. Discussion. Call for the question. All those in favor?
I'd like to say something.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just so you know,
So I make a motion to eliminate Diane Ross's position at the end of the current school year.
Okay. Discussion. Call for the question. All those in favor?
I'd like to say something.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just so you know, I know you said about the training and everything, just from the special ed standpoint, when you have a pair working with you for as many years as I have, there's a lot of training that goes involved with having someone work with you that close. And sorry. Just so the board knows that it takes a lot of time, and there's several curriculums that have to be learned, 6th, 7th, and 8th curriculums, and it does take a lot of time. And so when you say there's not any training involved, and that someone can just slip into that position and be able to do that job, I just want the board to understand that it's a really hard job, and when you have someone as your right-hand person to count on and being able to be that teacher, because I see her as my teacher and not as a para, it does take a lot of training and a lot of time, and I just want you guys to understand that. And it's just not in my department, it's in everybody's department, so when these risks happen, it just doesn't affect the adults in the situation, it affects the kids too, because the kids come to depend on these people, and when you take these people out of these positions, it does affect the kids, and that's going to be the hardest part, is the kids. So I just want you guys to understand how hard this is on my department and the special ed department, because the special ed department really took a hit with this, and it's hard. So I just want you to know. Okay.
Yeah, and I want to thank you for your words, of what you said. The difficult thing in all of this is that none of this is personal.
I know.
It's just a symptom of, you know, we're having to take a look at the positions and the categories and the seniority involved, and it just is played out the way that it has. And, you know, I don't want to trivialize it and say that, you know, people are replaceable, or that, you know, it's easy for somebody to step into a position. It's not. And you know, there's a lot of things that go into it, but there are some steps that we have to do at this point in time in order to try to get this budget back into balance. And so,
I understand all that. I understand that's part of that has to happen, but I just wanted to, you know, sometimes I think people forget. You know, this affects the kids.
Well, and I certainly want you to know that personally, and I think all of us as a board realize that anytime you have to make cuts in any department, we're affecting children. Yeah. And that's the hardest thing that we have to do as trustees. But I really appreciate your thoughts. It's so true. I'm sorry, you didn't tell me who you were.
I'm sorry. I just know everything. Been here a while. So I'm Jeannie Miller.
Okay.
I'm middle school special ed.
Can I say something? I think that what John's point was about people, training people to go to other departments, training people to go to other departments, and it's not, it wasn't anything about how much training it takes to be in the department that you're in, but just because you know the special ed department maybe doesn't mean that you know the secretary department, and I think that's what he was referring to. Or the secretary doesn't know your department and vice versa, so it's not like people can jump from that to that. So I think that was more about what he was saying than about not, you know, saying that you guys, everybody's got a certain amount of training that they've got going on. So
Yeah.
not
That's
everybody's
kind of the point
cross-trained
I'm making,
enough to be able to step into somebody else's job. All right. We're going to call for the question, and the motion is for Diana Ross. Is that correct?
Yep,
Yes.
to eliminate the Diana Ross, and then reduce especially,
I think we're just doing one at a time.
oh, we are, we're just doing one? Okay.
Okay, I'm going to call for the question. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Mike, are you there?
I'm sorry, I was on mute. I agree.
Thanks, Mike.
And I make a motion to eliminate the special ed position of Donna Sutton at the end of the current school year.
Discussion. Call for the question. All those in favor? Aye.
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 And I make a motion to reduce the special ed secretary position of Carol Bean to half-time at the end of the school year.
Discussion. Call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Any more?
okay, so that's the rips that we would do with our classified stuff.
Then we're going to move on to new business.
Yes, new business.
The teacher endorsement and internship program.
Okay, Megan Houlihan has approached my office with a request that she be allowed to enroll in a teacher endorsement internship program, which is designed around allowing teachers within a school system to move outside of their endorsement area so that they may be allowed to teach in another endorsement area that they define as what they'd like put their efforts towards getting a certificate in. I spoke with Mrs. Houlihan. She said that she is interested in trying to get an elementary endorsement, and that she'd like to register in an internship endorsement program. It requires that she gets the approval of the superintendent, or what they call the agency representative, and the chairman of the board. And where we are at is that we are looking at going ahead and making that approval. From my office's standpoint, it would be good for her, it would be good for the school district. Therefore, the board needs to take some action to authorize the chairman of the board to also sign this document and allow for her to go ahead and enroll in this program.
John, what is an endorsement program?
It's a form of a university program that is designed around trying to get teachers into school systems, or teachers that are already in a school system, a provisional certificate so they may be allowed to teach a class at the time while they are also seeking to get certification in that area. So they'll be working on classwork, core classwork. In Mrs. Houlihan's case, she'll be working on methods and foundations in elementary curriculum, and taking these types of classes in order to better understand and be able to teach at the elementary curriculum level. And while she's doing it, she'd be undergoing an internship with our school district while she participated in that program. Does that answer your question, Mike?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so who initially has charge of the internship program? University?
The university system, and at this point, it looks like MSU Billings is the place where she will be enrolled to take her classes. Now, what they will do during this internship program is they're going to set up a field agent representative who will be working with the school district and her on supervision evaluation of how she is doing, similar to a student teaching experience. But at the same time, she will be doing online classes and taking coursework in order to understand the foundations of our elementary curriculum.
It's not costing the district any money?
No, this is going to be completely out of her own pocket. She'll be investing in herself.
Okay. Do you have a motion to?
I'll move that we approve the teaching endorsement internship program for Megan Houlihan. That need to be for next school year, or?
No, right now it's fine.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Discussion. This is the first time I think it's like a viable program that could be used for younger teachers. Good. Let's see that.
Sorry, I can't hear that. That's
I'm
what
sorry,
the
Mike.
problem.
I knew that was going to happen. I just said that I think it's an internship program looks real viable for younger teachers who might be in a situation where they.
I'll second that.
Discussion. This is the first time I think it's like a viable program that could be used for younger teachers. Good. Let's see that.
Sorry, I can't hear that. That's
I'm
what
sorry,
the
Mike.
problem.
I knew that was going to happen. I just said that I think it's an internship program looks real viable for younger teachers who might be in a situation where they are looking, to try to widen their ability to teach different subjects. I just think it's a good move. So with that, call for the question. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
This is going to happen when we do all the judgments. Okay. All right, we're going to move on to safe routes to school session.
Okay. A couple of years ago, I approached the county commissioners with a safe routes to school project for the Florence school, and the commissioners ended up getting involved in a very serious way in terms of trying to develop better ways for kids to get to and from the school. And one of the plans that we come up with was to develop a trail, asphalt trail on the school's property from Iowa Avenue up by the park, along the south border of the school's property that is the lot that we currently sit on in the district office, and to tie that trail into the existing asphalt trail that goes from the Florence Baptist Church down to Gary Neal's. It was also to extend this trail from the Baptist Church all the way down to Tide Chute, so that we could extend a pathway all the way to Tide Chute. Now, one of the things that we were looking at trying to do is to delineate the parking areas on Old Highway 93, and to create no parking zones and drop-off and pick-up parking zones, and to better define handicap parking zones. We also were looking at, trying to do some bump outs and some signage and some lighting along those crosswalks, so that we would have shorter crosswalks that better define, that it is a crosswalk for the kids. The county commissioners stepped up in a big way and offered their CTEP dollars to assist in this project. Bids were let out for this project in the month of April, and the bids came in under the estimated value of what we were projecting. As a result, some additive alternates that were in the bid project were asked if they should maintain or stay in the project. And one of the additive alternate bids was to take a look at doing some landscaping between the curbing and the trail down along the school district's property here and on this parking lot. Now, in order to do that, the county required that the school district step up in the state that it's going to take over and water this area so that the shrubs and trees that are planted in this area do not go to seed, so that they actually have the water and are actually able to grow. Otherwise, the county is going to be charged a fee by the state. When the state drives by and sees that the shrubs aren't growing, the state's going to come in and replant them and then send a bill to the county. The county does not want to get into having to manage or water these trees. So in order for that additive alternate to be added to the bid package, it was requested that the board give consideration to taking the responsibility on. And having looked at the irrigation system, in order to get the controls, the wiring, and the irrigation piping down to that area, in order to place a drip system into each of the shrubs on this part of the trail system along the school's property, it is estimated to be in the range of $3,000 to $3,500 in order to do all of that. And so I surveyed the board to ask your opinion on it so that the county can move forward, and it is now time to ask for a vote of the board to see if the board members are willing to move forward in order for this part of the project to be accepted by the state. Please be aware that the additive alternate bid is around $9,000. School district's portion or responsibility is just to get the water down there and do it, which would be roughly $3,000. Without the investment, then the $9,000 would not be invested by the state.
Also,
Second, discussion, end of year money, considered
So we have matching responsibilities to this project, monies that we have set aside that the school district agreed to originally when it started this project, that we would match the project with. Because the bids came in low, our match is less, and so what we were planning on as a match, we will use those monies to address the need here.
when will they do that, or by the next school year, or?
The construction on it is planning to happen the Monday following the release of the school year for the students. So the contractors are lined up and ready to go in order to come in and start their dirt work that they're going to need to do to complete this project.
When you called me and told me, and I said I didn't think I would be interested in that, I never did give you any reasons, but I'll say that I believe $3,500 is the first year, and then when the pipes break, freeze up and stuff, it's an ongoing thing with those things all the time. I believe there's enough shrubs and stuff over there to take care of the aesthetics the way it sits, or there may be, but I don't know that.
No, that's just about exactly what I commented too. I think in days when we're trying to look for, when we're laying features off and cutting costs, I think this is above and beyond the original scope of the project. And I agree with you. It only $3,500 this year, but then there's, you know, there'll be costs, future costs associated with this project.
Do we have an approval letter from CTEP yet for this project? We did. Is that available?
That $9,000 that they do that extra, could they do something different with it so that we don't lose that money, or does it have to be, I mean, could it be proposed differently? So
I'm sorry, I missed all that, whatever comments we're making right there, or was there just none?
There is a comment, Mike, about whether or not we have a record of the CTEP okaying our project, of which I said, yes, we did. Then we have a question whether the $9,000 could be spent some other way that instead of the landscaping.
Okay.
So, to answer your question, Reva, this is part of a construction bid, and it was an additive alternate that the county had asked. We could go ahead and accept it as part of this bid package. If we do, then the contractor is agreeing to come in and do this work at this level. If not, then the money does not get spent and it reverts back to the county for future CTEP projects.
All right, I'm going to call for the question. The motion is to accept, not accept. We can read that motion again.
Dorothy Rose moved to go ahead and do the added, to run the irrigation for between $3,000 and $3,500 at Avenue Section.
Call for the question. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the meeting is adjourned.
Okay, Mike, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, you did good though, right? Yeah.
Like that. Good stuff. Apple water. Huh?
That means you know that, right?
Oh.
As far as the price,
Yeah, we can, yeah.
Not much. 880, 880, 3568. I know. I'm calling you right now. So that works.